There are relationships that, at first glance, seem irresistible. That forbidden love, wrapped in mystery and adrenaline, might seem attractive, but it often hides a path full of pain and disappointment. It's easy to get swept up in the emotions, ignoring the warning signs screaming in every gesture, every word. But what many don't realize is that these relationships can not only hurt but also leave deep scars that last for a long time. That's why it's crucial to understand how to identify these dangers and, most importantly, how to avoid them. On this journey, you will discover how to protect yourself from those who only bring suffering and learn to confidently pursue a love that's truly worth it. Get ready to demystify what many believe is love and find out how to discover something that genuinely enriches your life. At the beginning, the narcissist shines like radiant gold, wrapped in an almost magnetic self-confidence. His charm is undeniable, captivating, and easily mistaken for genuine strength. However, this shine is superficial, a facade skillfully constructed to hide deep insecurity and an insatiable need for validation. The initial attraction can be so strong that the warning signs are ignored, and before you know it, you're trapped in a cycle where your self-esteem is drained little by little. It's crucial not to be swayed by this superficial charm and to stay alert to the signs. The narcissist is a master at manipulating emotions, turning the relationship into a dangerous game where you often don't even realize you're losing. He feeds on your admiration but never reciprocates with the same intensity. When things don't go his way, the mask falls, revealing the lack of empathy and coldness that underlies his actions. At first, it might seem like just a bad day, but soon it becomes clear that this is the true face of the narcissist. To protect yourself. Esteem, it's vital to recognize that the initial shine is deceptive and that, often, the best thing to do is to confidently walk away from these men. In a relationship with a narcissist, the subtleties can be the most treacherous. Small comments that undermine your confidence, the constant need to be the center of attention, and the inability to accept criticism are clear signs that something is wrong. A classic example is when he turns any problem into something about himself, completely ignoring your feelings. Don't let these behaviors go unnoticed. Instead, stay alert and don't be afraid to set boundaries. The narcissist may try to turn your life into a stage, but remember, you are not a supporting character in anyone's story. Identifying a narcissist before he wreaks havoc on your life may seem difficult, but there are unmistakable signs you can spot early on. Narcissists have a constant need to be the center of attention, and this desire is so intense that it overshadows everything else. They engage in conversations, but only to talk about themselves, turning any topic into an opportunity to exalt themselves. If you notice that even in the simplest moments, he is incessantly seeking the spotlight, be careful, this is a warning sign that should not be ignored. Additionally, the narcissist is incapable of showing genuine interest in others. He may ask about your day, but the answer is just a secondary detail. The lack of empathy becomes evident in small interactions, where he fails to show compassion or understanding. A clear example is when you share a concern, and he quickly changes the subject to something about himself, showing that your well-being is not a priority. Learning to identify this lack of emotional reciprocity is essential to avoid getting deeply involved before it's too late. Don't be swayed by sweet words or superficial gestures. Another point to watch for is how the narcissist reacts to criticism. For him, any criticism, no matter how small, is seen as a direct threat to his ego. He may react with anger, play the victim, or even try to turn the situation around, making you feel guilty for pointing out something that isn't right. This inability to handle constructive feedback is a clear sign that you're dealing with someone who is only focused on themselves. Stay alert and move forward with confidence, knowing that recognizing these patterns early is the key to protecting your peace and avoiding a forbidden love that will only hurt you. Being in a relationship with a schizoid can be an experience of deep loneliness, even when physically accompanied. These people have a tendency to emotionally disconnect, creating a sense of invisibility in those who relate to them. The schizoid does not show affection in the traditional way, and their interactions may seem cold or distant. Gradually, the partner may start to feel like they are living in the shadow of someone who never fully reveals themselves, and this can be emotionally draining. The warning for anyone living this situation is to recognize that this lack of genuine connection is not a personal failure, but a characteristic of the partner. Life with a schizoid is marked by a lack of emotional reciprocity. It's common for the partner to strive to create a connection, only to encounter an invisible barrier, where every gesture of affection is met with indifference or silence. Over time, this dynamic can lead to a deep sense of devaluation and emotional exhaustion. Imagine planning something special, like a trip or a romantic dinner, and seeing the other person simply not show interest or enthusiasm. This type of experience becomes routine, making you constantly question whether it's worth continuing in a relationship that doesn't offer what you need. When living in the shadow of a schizoid, it is vital to realize that this absence of emotional warmth can be an indication that it is time to reassess the relationship. The weight of carrying the emotional burden alone can lead to complete burnout, where the partner finds themselves trapped in a cycle of frustration and loneliness. Don't let the hope for change keep you stuck in a relationship that doesn't nourish your soul. If the signs of distance and coldness become constant, consider moving on before the impact on your self-esteem becomes irreversible. Stay away from these men who cannot offer what you need and confidently pursue a true emotional connection. Getting involved with a controlling partner is like entering a game where love turns into a constant battle for power and submission. These individuals see the relationship as a space to assert their authority, imposing rules and limits that often suffocate the other's freedom. At first, it may seem like just excessive care or a desire to protect, but over time, these actions reveal a deep desire to control every aspect of your life. The warning here is clear: when love becomes a power game, it's essential to recognize the signs and act before your individuality is completely suffocated. Controllers use subtle tactics to manipulate and restrict their partner's autonomy. They may demand unrestricted access to your phone, dictate who you can or cannot see, or even influence your decisions in a way that always keeps them in control. A common example is when he starts questioning every choice you make, from the clothes you wear to the friendships you cultivate, always under the pretext of wanting your best. However, this concern is just a facade to hide the desire for absolute control. Don't let yourself be swayed by these manipulations. Stand firm and set healthy boundaries from the beginning. When love is used as a weapon of control, the relationship becomes an emotional prison. The controlling person uses guilt, fear, and emotional manipulation to keep the partner under their control, making any attempt at independence seem like a betrayal. The feeling of being constantly under surveillance can lead to a state of constant tension and anxiety. If you find yourself in this situation, it is essential to seek support and reassess whether this relationship is really worth it. Remember, true love doesn't imprison, it frees. Move forward with confidence and avoid these men who seek control instead of an equal partnership. When a narcissist places all the focus on themselves, they inevitably undermine the relationship, making it unsustainable in the long run. Their partner becomes merely an audience, present to validate and exalt their achievements and desires. The narcissist is obsessed with themselves, incapable of considering the other's needs and feelings. The result is an unbalanced relationship, where one side constantly feels devalued and neglected. Emotional exhaustion is inevitable, and over time, the narcissist's partner begins to realize they are alone in what should be a relationship for two. This dynamic of self-worship leads to the erosion of affection and partnership. Small acts of selfishness, such as making decisions without consulting the other or always prioritizing their own needs, accumulate and create a toxic environment. Imagine planning a romantic weekend and realizing that all the activities revolve around the narcissist's interests, leaving you in the background. This kind of behavior wears down the relationship, creating an emotional chasm that becomes increasingly difficult to bridge. Don't let this obsession with themselves keep you trapped in a cycle of devaluation. When a relationship is dominated by a narcissist, harmony and reciprocity are sacrificed in the name of adulation and subservience. The partner is constantly put on the back burner, and any attempt to claim space or a voice is seen as a threat. This dynamic not only destroys the relationship but also erodes the other's self-esteem. If you find yourself in a relationship where everything revolves around the other, it's time to reconsider whether it's worth continuing. Don't be swayed by empty promises and move forward with confidence in search of a partnership where both can shine together. Entering a relationship with a schizoid can be like embracing an illusion of love, where the emotional connection you so desire never materializes. The schizoid, by nature, struggles to offer the closeness and intimacy that are essential for a healthy relationship. Their interactions are often marked by an emotional distance that, in the long run, can leave the partner feeling lonely and incomplete. Despite efforts to create a deeper bond, the reality is that the schizoid simply cannot offer what you need for a true and lasting love. This lack of emotional connection manifests in various subtle ways. A clear example is the schizoid's inability to share meaningful moments, such as celebrations or challenges, with the same enthusiasm or empathy you expect. Imagine planning something special, hoping for a warm reaction, only to receive an apathetic smile or indifferent comment in return. Over time, these small disappointments accumulate, creating a sense of emptiness in the relationship. The warning here is to recognize that this lack of reciprocity is not something you can fix, it's an intrinsic characteristic of the schizoid. When you are trapped in this illusion of love, it's easy to believe that with patience, things might improve. However, the reality is that the schizoid will not change their distant and introspective nature. Continuing in such a relationship is risking emotional burnout, always waiting for something that will never come. To preserve your emotional health, it's essential to recognize when it's time to move on. Stay away from these men who cannot offer what you need, and confidently pursue a genuine connection, where love and care are a two-way street. Breaking free from emotional dependence in a controlling relationship is a crucial step in regaining your freedom. The controlling partner uses your weaknesses to manipulate and create a cycle of abuse that often seems inescapable. But by recognizing these tactics and seeking external support, such as therapy or conversations with trusted friends, you can begin to rebuild your emotional independence. Don't let the fear of being alone keep you trapped. Move forward confidently in search of a life where you are the protagonist. The journey out of this cycle begins with small acts of personal affirmation. Set clear boundaries and don't allow them to be crossed, even in the face of emotional manipulation attempts. An example is starting to make decisions that reflect your own desires, rather than constantly yielding to the other's wishes. Every step towards autonomy is a move away from the controller's grasp. It's essential to understand that rebuilding your life after an abusive relationship is a process, but every effort is worth it. Seeking support is fundamental in this process of liberation. Connecting with people who value and understand your struggle can provide the strength needed to break free from the cycle of abuse once and for all. Support groups, specialized literature, and the guidance of a therapist are valuable tools on this journey. By surrounding yourself with support, you begin to envision a future where your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's approval, but only on your own. Stay away from these men who try to control your life and confidently pursue your journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Being in a relationship with a schizoid can make you feel lonely, even when you're not alone. The absence of true emotional connection leaves a void that no amount of time together can fill. Recognizing this isolation is the first step in deciding what is best for your happiness. Shared loneliness becomes evident in daily interactions, where gestures of affection are scarce or non-existent. You may be beside him, but the feeling of being alone persists. Understanding that this dynamic won't change is essential for your emotional well-being. When loneliness outweighs physical presence, it's time to reassess your relationship. Being with someone who doesn't offer what you need can be more harmful than being alone. Stay away from these men and confidently pursue a relationship that truly completes you. Over time, this shared loneliness can lead to a sense of emotional exhaustion, where you find yourself carrying the weight of the relationship alone. Even if you try to connect and create meaningful moments, the schizoid remains distant, trapped in his own world. This constant disconnection can make you question your own worth and feel incapable of achieving true intimacy. Don't underestimate the impact that this emotional absence can have on your mental health and happiness. Recognizing this loneliness is the first step towards freeing yourself from a relationship that doesn't fulfill your emotional needs. A narcissist's lack of empathy is one of the biggest challenges in a relationship. He pretends to understand your emotions, but in reality, he feels nothing for you. This emotional disconnection creates insurmountable barriers, leaving the partner devalued and lonely. The absence of empathy becomes apparent in critical moments when you most need support. Instead of offering comfort, the narcissist turns his back or uses the situation to manipulate. This dynamic destroys any possibility of a healthy, balanced relationship. Recognizing this lack of empathy is essential to protect your self-esteem. Continuing in this type of relationship only reinforces your isolation and pain. Stay away from these men and confidently pursue a connection where your emotions are truly valued. The narcissist's lack of empathy not only affects the relationship dynamic but also undermines your ability to trust and open up again in the future. Each time your emotions are disregarded, the wound deepens, creating scars that can be difficult to heal. The narcissist, focused only on himself, doesn't realize the damage he causes, leaving you in a constant state of alertness and self-protection. This constant need to protect yourself emotionally can lead to isolation, making it even harder to escape from this relationship. Understanding the depth of this lack of empathy is crucial to making the decision to move on. When love turns into possessiveness, freedom and individuality are the first to disappear. The controlling partner tries to shape your life according to their own needs, suffocating your identity. Gradually, you find yourself losing who you really are. This possessiveness manifests in small prohibitions and constant criticism, which eventually isolate you from friends and family. The freedom to make decisions for yourself is eroded, and your autonomy is replaced by his control. The relationship becomes an emotional prison. Recognizing these signs and reversing this dynamic is crucial to regaining your freedom. Don't let possessiveness destroy your individuality. Stay away from these men and confidently pursue a relationship that respects your essence and autonomy. Furthermore, extreme possessiveness can lead to a cycle of guilt and fear, where you feel responsible for avoiding conflicts and making constant concessions to keep the peace. This dynamic creates an environment where love is confused with submission, and the partner becomes increasingly controlling. What was once a loving relationship turns into an emotional prison, where every move you make is watched and questioned. Don't allow this cycle to destroy your ability to love freely and be loved for who you truly are. Free yourself from this possessiveness before it completely erases your essence. After leaving a toxic relationship, redefining your boundaries is the first step in rebuilding your life. It's essential to re-establish your self-esteem and recognize your worth, away from the manipulations you suffered. This healing process requires patience but is liberating. Seeking emotional support is crucial at this time. Therapy, support groups, and true friendships can help strengthen your confidence. Each small progress represents a personal victory in your recovery journey. The important thing is not to give up. Rebuilding your life means rediscovering your passions and interests. Take advantage of this new phase to reconnect with who you are and what you want for the future. Move forward confidently, knowing that you are now in control of your destiny, free from the chains of the past. As you redefine your boundaries, it's essential to surround yourself with people who respect and value these new standards. Aim to build relationships where reciprocity and mutual respect are the foundation, allowing your new journey to be filled with positive experiences. Every choice you make now should reflect your desire to live fully and freely, without the chains of the past. Remember that you have the power to write your own story, and this story can be one of strength, overcoming, and self-discovery. Embrace this new phase with courage, knowing that you deserve a love that values you in your entirety. After everything you've learned, the decision is in your hands. Are you going to continue letting yourself be carried away by relationships that only bring pain, or are you ready to put an end to it and take control of your love life? Think about everything you've been through, all the signs you ignored. Now, you know how to spot them and, more importantly, how to run away from these men who will only hurt you. Change starts with you, and this is the perfect time to rewrite your story. Remember that you deserve a love that values you and brings joy to your life, not suffering. Looking to the future with optimism and determination is the first step to attracting relationships that are truly worth it. Don't be afraid to cut ties with what isn't good for you. This is an act of courage and self-love. The path to happiness begins with choosing to put yourself first, seeking what feeds your soul and promotes your growth. Don't settle for less than you deserve, because true love does not cause pain, but rather comfort and security. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications and continue learning how to build a healthy and happy relationship. Don't wait any longer, your happiness depends on the choices you make today.